I think that's close to what the city budget is. But unfortunately, when I'm giving these numbers, I'm not trying to depress people. I don't want people to walk away and say, oh, there's nothing I can do. I'm using this as encouragement for people to be able to move on and do something about this. But unfortunately, we're only talking about current dollars. And as Janet pointed out in this book, $3 trillion, the $3 trillion war, there are other things to be bought. And I just want to go through a couple of the specifics. He's listed both the best case and the realistic scenario here. And the dollar, these are in the billions of dollars. So thus far we've spent $611 billion. He assumes under the best case that if we had, it would cost another $382 in future operations, which would mean we'd be out of there in about 2 years. Yes?
On your previous slide, with the $69.5 million in the household, 45, how does Annapolis compare the demographics of other cities with the same size, the same type of demographics that we have?
I would have to check. I think I'm not real sure. We generally look at median household income. I do know that your town is comparable to the town I'm from, Northampton, Massachusetts. I know that city was prided itself in education. The home of Smith College is contemplating closing the school because it can't raise $800,000. And it spent $16 million this year on the war. I think they're spending $17 million. They have a slightly higher poverty rate here. I'm not sure if what the median household income is. It's probably somewhat comparable to Northampton. There are some cities that don't spend as much money on the war because they're a lot poorer, but they also are having programs to address that poverty. Yes?
The current oil prices, the military trust getting one mile per gallon, and gas at $4 down going to 6 or 8. Are there any projections for that easily across the board?
I know when they wrote this book, they were assuming that we were at about $100 a barrel. I know that we're way up there right now. I'm not sure. We are going to be putting out a report on the cost of defending oil versus the cost of energy alternatives in September. And we will be addressing this. I do know that one report showed that we were spending, I believe it was in 2003 or 2004, about $8 per soldier a day on oil, and the next year we were spending $16 per soldier. So it doubled in a year.
And yesterday it was $20 per soldier.
$20 now.
Usually $20 worth of gas.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 20 gallons.
20 gallons. Okay, well, we know what that is. Okay. So we can see that is going to really increase the cost of future operations. And then, but nobody's taken into account, as Jan had mentioned, the future costs of veterans benefits. They're totally been underfunded. Whenever I give a talk, I'm reminded by one of my neighbors who said, don't forget to talk about the ultimate cost. Her son has been fighting to get health care, veterans benefits, for 2 years and has not yet gotten it. And there's just this constant fighting to try to get the benefits. And you can see the future costs there. And then there are other costs, such where the Pentagon, according to Stiglitz, has actually taken money from certain parts of the Pentagon and put them into the war. So that's part of what some of the other costs are. And even though I haven't given the total cost, there's a $900 billion difference between the best case, which might mean us getting out in a year or two, and a realistic or moderate case. And if you take a look at that difference, that $900 billion difference really comes to about $100 million more in that realistic moderate approach than the best case approach for Annapolis. In other words, the difference between this and that is about $100 million for this city. So that's a lot of money. So I think, these are some of these economic things questions that we need to begin to think of. So, what do we do? Where can we go from here? I really think that there are some real opportunities. As I said before, I'm hoping that people don't feel discouraged, that people feel angry and wanting to do something about this. And I think we've got some audiences that we can really reach. But I don't think the public agrees with the priorities of our government. And polling has shown that. Gallup polls consistently shown that the public priorities and the government's priorities are not in sync. There's an organization called the Program on International Policy Attitudes at the University of Maryland that has polled people and shown people consistently where their tax dollar is going. It's a long poll. It takes a lengthy amount of time to show the people who are taking the poll how much money goes where in terms of military spending, education, and housing, and so on. And invariably, when the public sees where its priorities are going, the public says, we want to cut the Pentagon by a third, we want to stop the war, and we want to invest in our communities. So I think that the polling shows a difference in priorities. So I think we can reach the public with information. I also think that it's possible to reach our members of Congress. I think if they haven't heard from us, they need to hear from us. And as was suggested, I think that there are ways, if this many people talk to your members of Congress about these issues, no matter where you stand, I think that would make a significant difference. And finally, I think there are organizations that are dramatically affected by these budgets. If people saw where their tax dollar is going, we have this information on our website for this city. If you had that information and showed them where their tax dollar is going, and got them to be a part of this questioning of, is this the best way to provide security, I think that there are ways that we can learn from each other about this. And finally, there's another audience that I think we really need to spend some time on, and that's ourselves. I'm asking everybody that I speak to this year to make a commitment. To make a commitment to tell other people and become involved in other actions. So what I'd like to do is spend the next 30 seconds having each of you just quietly think of 3 other people that you can tell about the cost of the war to this community or something else that you think is interesting. Just think of 3 other people you can talk to and think of one action that you might want to participate in. I'd just like to have 30 seconds of silence as you begin to jot a note down to yourself about what you can do, because this is such an historic year and such an historic election year. Okay, I'm going to be checking up on you guys. Thank you very much.